I'm Josiah.
And I'm Adam, and we are
Salada Gun Shop.
this evening, we're going to talk about NRL Hunter.
Yeah.
And why we're involved in NRL Hunter and why you should be getting into NRL Hunter.
A lot of pros to NRL Hunter.
Yeah, the thing that I would say that I'm really impressed with NRL Hunter is a lot of guys don't shoot outside of the week before hunting season, right?
Yeah.
They kind of go throughout their life, and then hunting season comes about and they have a really important tag, or maybe it's just a really important hunt for them for their life, right? But just an important time, and they haven't put in the time behind the rifle.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn the particulars about NRL Hunter, just going to nrlhunter.com. To their webpage, and then bringing up the rules and regulations. That's a great way to kind of get the particulars, right? The gist of the story is it's a really fun match.
Yeah.
That's anywhere from 18 to 22 stages of beautiful landscapes, hanging out with friends, and shooting on a timer. What makes it different than everything else? They have weight classes. They have factory class. They have open light, open heavy. Essentially, open light is you can have a hot rod, just done up gun that maybe it's a gamer rifle, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just, what you have and it fits for open light. Or you have open heavy, which you just kind of can't get into the open light class, whether that's the stock you have or the chassis, or maybe because you want to run a triple pull tripod or bipod. Sorry.
In the open, if I remember correctly, is something that is not a factory gun. It is a customized action trigger, something that you can't just pluck off the shelf, right?
Yeah, and it's not like as people reference it, it's not like a SKU or SKU that, let's say, Fierce, Seekins, Springfield, whomever,
right,
name your company, that they produce. Factory class, it has to be, a factory rifle. But the cool thing with factory class is you can shoot 6 Creedmoor, 243s, and still qualify with factory ammo.
Okay.
For all that. Whereas in your open light and open heavy, you need to shoot either factory ammo to not have to qualify for power factor, or you can shoot reloads, which qualify you for the power factor. And I believe it's 380,000. I'm going to get this wrong. It's foot-pounds?
I think so. And that was a feet per second and then weight of projectile multiplier?
So the multiplier is feet per second times weight of projectile.
Okay.
And that gets you. So I think with a 135 and a 6.5, 135 grain projectile and a 6.5 doing 28.15, I think it is, gets you there.
It's like the lowest.
Not the lowest.
But close, okay.
But as you go up in weight, you can drop in speed, all different, there's little, I'll call them games, because it's a game, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. And then a lot of people think its inception came from people trying to get people out with their hunting rifles.
So when you first introduced me to this, you kind of explained things, but I didn't quite understand the notion that you kept saying, if you understand the game. And looking at the different classes are out there, you look at the factory, the open heavy, the open light options. What really constitutes the idea of creating a game surpassing the need for hunters needing to know their rifle, their equipment, and beyond. Because there's obviously shooters that are going to use this as something to get used to their rifle, to compete with it, and then there are those that are going to game it with the open, classes, right?
Right, and like that can come down to, like, let's say a certain match. Certain people are signing up for certain weight class, like open light, open heavy. Maybe they have a goal in mind of like winning, first in open heavy for one match, first in open light for a match, and then a team, and then as a factory class.
Okay.
So like there's a different, like, when I reference game, it's not that so much that like it's not that people are cheating,
Right.
right? It's not cheating.
There are rules and regulations.
There's rules,
Yeah.
they follow the rules, but like just like anything, you read the rules.
Mm-hmm.
These are the rules. I play by the rules, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
For me, it's like it's kind of just fun, right? To me, it's a great experience to learn your equipment, learn what equipment works, learn what equipment doesn't. You learn how to build positions that you're not really going to be able to do in a setup range, right?
Right.
Because like there's, like you go to a different match and there's just different topography. So like you and I shot Larkspur.
Mm-hmm.
Super awesome match, great people. It was set up to be able to shoot some prone, some tripod, some triple pull if you had a triple pull. There was many different ways to shoot it. And by no means am I saying that like I'm the most awesome person and I do well in these things.
But what did you learn from the first NRL Hunter to, say, even just the last one that we did? We shot together, different squads, but shot the same course basically.
Your brain works in a different way, right? The more times that you shoot them, the more experience you have, the better ability you have to look at the landscape, look for targets, and then figure out your positioning. So
you're on a 4-minute clock when you're on an individual, and that doesn't matter whether it's open, heavy, light, factory,
skills
and skills.
and
Okay.
skills.
Okay.
Which is something that we should touch on before we get too deep into this, is everybody that signs up for one of these should shoot the first one in a skills division. Why is that? Maybe not everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe people want skin in the game and they want to play for keeps.
Right.
But what I would say is like if you're nervous about this, or if this is something that you're just not in tune with regarding like PRS or those types of
bigger question mark than understanding, like,
shoot a skills division.
Yeah.
Like you walk up to the stage, the ROs will help you find targets if you need help finding targets. If you want to shoot it just by yourself and you're going to run the clock and I'm going to do this on my own, they'll let you do it on your own. You're not available for the price table, which is, some people that's a big deal. Some people it's not.
But the entry level or the entry cost is a little less.
A little less.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe it's like about $100 less.
Okay.
For that. But you get a feel for it, right? Like there's little things that like nobody talks about until you're there.
Yeah.
And you kind of just realize like, oh, like for me, I found like a timer, like the scientific timer.
Mm-hmm.
So the scientific timer for me, like having a timer that talks to me and tells me what is going on.
Almost a countdown or a count up for you?
Countdown.
Or okay.
So started at 4 minutes. When the RO goes, and your time starts now, I'm pressing a button also at the same time to literally know like, oh, I have 3 minutes left.
Right.
So I know that at that point in time, like if I got 2 minutes left and I've found 3 targets, I probably should be setting up to shoot.
So build the position, get
Mm-hmm.
at least points on the board
Mm-hmm.
for that stage.
And those aren't things that like I would say are in the rules, or you can watch a lot of YouTube
Hmm.
and you'll see that stuff, or look at the forums and things like that.
So
For me,
let's.
it was a huge helpful
Oh yeah,
piece.
and I took kind of your advice and put just a 4 minute timer. Actually, it was a 2 minute timer, so it let me know at 2 minutes, because finding targets I felt was almost the most challenging thing, even with the tips. Talking about looking left to right, or close to far, or even though I felt like I spent almost 3.5 minutes looking for on one stage,
Mm-hmm.
and I completely negated the fact that I need to look the extent of my far left side to my far right side.
Yep.
And I just kind of kept focusing, it's got to be on that side. It's got to be on that side. And never continued on to find the wolf on the right hand side.
Yeah, and that's like those are like the little things that you learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like with and that's why I encourage the skills division. Um, is you you learn these like little tidbits of like, oh, is the target array like a mountainous, or is it a U,
Mm-hmm.
or is it like a hook, or
And just knowing you can ask those questions on the clock, basically, right?
in skills division,
And
right?
skills, okay.
Yeah, in skills division. In any other division, you can only ask. I forget how they word it. You can only ask questions that are very direct.
Somewhat yes, no ish.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
yes, no. Like, uh, there was a target at Larkspur that I literally called out the range. I was like, is target number 2 at 543? And they were like, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So as you walk up to a stage, the scenario is different for every one of them, and it
everyone.
can be, multiple targets, single target, multiple positions, single position.
Mm-hmm.
So like we started on, I think it was stage 4. You guys started on 7,
7.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So our stage that we started on was, I believe, 2 antelope, 2 positions.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to build a position once you found the 2 antelope targets, shoot target, second target, build next position, shoot target, shoot target. Do you remember what 7 was?
No. There's been a
Just
lot of stages since then.
all the way through. Well, it was my first match, so remembering that scenario of remembering to start my watch, make
Mm-hmm.
sure my magazine goes in the gun correctly, deploying my bipod correctly, making sure I take my pack off before I try to start glassing. And those were all like tips that you threw at me that I'm just like, I don't even know why you're telling me these things. And then you get there and you do that, and it's create a process for yourself. So I just in that single match, and now shooting on our flat range, type of scenario,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there is a way better solution out there for me to get more efficient, for me to be more proficient in my fundamentals,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what the like shooting position is or the scenario, whether it's 200 yards or trying to plink out to 600, 800, 900 yards, on a calm day if it presents itself.
I think a lot of people don't think about that too. Like these aren't things that people realize. I would say in just hunting, right? Is when you set up for these matches and you hear that beat, everything kind of hits the fan,
Yeah.
and you're kind of, oh God. Initially,
Mm-hmm.
your initial response is fight or flight, like holy, okay, it's on.
Yeah.
And then as you go on further, it just becomes super subconscious. Like safety aspect stuff, like where you're grounding your rifle,
Mm-hmm.
how you're laying your gear out, those types of things totally become second nature. And then you're just kind of in tune. Like
Yeah.
you go from, I would say there's initial starting is rough.
Yeah.
It is.
Huge learning curve.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, especially I would say for myself, not shooting PRS or anything of that sort, and just kind of like shooting flat range stuff and kind of having fun and whatnot. And then going to this and then going, oh wow, there's a lot more to learn. And then you just have this like, okay, you start to increase your knowledge. And there's so many good instructors out there. You know,
Yeah.
I would say partially some of my success that I've seen over the last year, and when I say success, this is all personal goal stuff, right?
Minute.
Incremental goals, right?
I saw a big difference just from day 1 to day 2. I can't imagine year and a half into a
Yeah.
plus taking a class, what you can kind of see where you started and where you are now.
Yeah, and I would like to really put something out there. Brian Whalen, Colorado Precision Rifle, he puts on a hunter class. He puts on a few classes over in Cameo. Great class, great knowledge transfer, very direct to the point. His ability to put stuff out there is
Nice.
pretty amazing. But I would say I would say that some of my or most of my success or my like little tidbit wins, I'm gonna call them, in my brain were because of the stuff that he was teaching. Just little things,
Yeah.
right? Like on your, on your arm board, like actually putting certain data points and things that like I was like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Easy. Having a data card on your actual tripod and
Right.
writing down information. But anyways, yeah, like little wins, and then like I'm not shooting top 50, top 20, like nothing like that.
Well, how many are typically in, say, a shoot of like 18 stages? How many
I think
squads or how many people participate typically?
pretty common between 130 to 150 or 130 to 150 people.
Okay.
I think it's pretty common. And depending, on your stage setup and squad setup, I don't know, we had 8 people on our squad, I think.
Yeah, I think we did on second
7
day.
or 8,
Yeah.
something like that. But then going from Larkspur to Laramie, Buffalo Bill's Revenge, super cool
Yeah.
venue, beautiful, picturesque, you know, just different landscape, rock outcroppings, rocks, different stuff. You can't shoot prone. You got to shoot a different way.
Which, when you mentioned, like in Larkspur, we did, I had a tripod, I had a bipod, and I forced myself to shoot off of a tripod, even though, like, no practice. It was not a success, but it put stress on the situation of, understanding the equipment you have, how to use it.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the guys on our squad were easily able to manipulate the tripod into a position to shoot off of way more comfortably than I felt at that point. And come to find out, they practice. Like, what does that mean to practice on a tripod with a rear bag or without a rear bag, or utilizing your backpack, type thing? What equipment do you bring with you? Do you overload yourself or bring minimal?
And that's like all like person to person dependent, right? Like some people are lugging around quite a bit of stuff and different things. Obviously, your gun is weighed in. Your gun has been marked essentially with zip ties. So your bipod, your chassis, your scope, those all have zip ties on them to indicate that you weighed in with that stuff. What I would say is that it's interesting, right? Because you can kind of take the mindset of like, okay, I want to play the game, or I want to do this like I would hunting. And that's up to everybody, right? Like, to each their own. What do you want to get out of it?
Right.
I think that's a question that everybody has to ask themselves too, is like, what do you want to get out of this?
Yeah.
Like is your goal to like be number one and win NRL Hunter, or is it to just have those incremental wins?
Right.
So that like, I know for me, hunting wise, the shot has become the least stressful part,
Okay.
right? Setting up a position, setting up for a shot or anything like that. I'm not worried about that. That's something that
Right.
whereas if you look at other, I know when hunting with other folks that maybe don't have that um,
Time behind the rifle, right?
time behind the
The
rifle,
equipment. Yeah.
they struggle loading the mag, struggle, ejecting around and getting another round in. They struggle adjusting the scope, just
Mm-hmm.
adjusting your magnification,
Right.
adjusting a parallax. Whereas, like, if you put time in behind the rifle, especially in something like NRL Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's like, you're safe,
So that
you know?
skills division really would be the option for somebody that doesn't have an amazing range to shoot at, those people to shoot with, because you're going to be invited in, coached almost by guys that have shot a
Yeah.
lot more than you, and have probably maybe two or three, actual competitions, whether PRS or even just another NRL Hunter, game under their belt to be able to, hey, you could have saved time with this, or realize your magazine position is that, or
Right.
setting up just to glass appropriately and knowing where the
Hmm.
targets potentially could be.
Not only that, but the community itself of NRL Hunter, I would say, is super inviting,
I would agree. I
right?
definitely felt as a newbie, as somebody that had no idea. I mean, I had more of an idea than I thought I did,
Hmm.
but definitely felt like I was brought into the fold just even walking to the first, stage and kind of getting set up from there.
Right. Where like I think a lot of people's fear from doing this is, oh, I'm gonna screw up.
Right.
We've all been there. We've all made mistakes, right? The end all be all piece to it is safety,
Yeah.
right? A big thing I would say is there's a lot of people that are like scared of just even like entering one of these matches because they're worried about making a mistake. And I can say truthfully, like, if I'm gonna be honest, when I first showed up to one of these matches, I was like, oh my God, where do you ground your rifle? How do I carry the rifle?
Yeah.
Like, you start thinking about these like little tidbit things that normally in like hunting, or I would say just how to do these things,
Right.
you start questioning yourself, right? And then you get into that, I would say, um, what is that that saying they say where it's not fake it to make it, it's like the imposter syndrome,
Oh.
where you're just like, oh, do I really know how to shoot a rifle? Like, do I know how to put a magazine in? And
Yeah.
you start doing that stuff. But like at the end of the day, like the skills division will, I think, alleviate a lot of that stress.
Yeah.
And the people will alleviate a lot of that stress. Because I know people personally that will not sign up for one of these that are good shooters
Yeah.
and safe, but are worried that they're not going to do something right or whatnot. Um, I would say put it into the wind, man. Like it's all good.
Yeah.
Like it's fun.
Yeah. It
Hitting
is.
steel and just hanging out with the boys, and you know, there's girls out there too. Like
Yeah. Pretty
I've seen
good
a couple
competitors.
teams, like
Yeah.
you know, uh, you know, husband and wife team, and a couple gals out there just crushing, and I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, we all like the same stuff. We all kind of I think we all hang out in the same community, uh, and we all really like cool stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
It was interesting just in our squad of, I think it was 7 or 8, like we were talking about the different walks of life
oh yeah,
that people are coming from, and you could kind of, have that conversation like, what do you do? And it really doesn't matter what they do. It's that they're there, and
yeah,
it's that, oh, okay, well, you live in this location. You
hmm
travel a lot for that. You do, you like to shoot other guns. You're an actual, IPSC shooter, or you done PRS and you've transitioned. It's amazing the wealth of knowledge on even different aspects of stuff that we're also interested in, whether they do hunt or they just like the gaming aspect of it too.
yeah,
So
for sure. I don't know. I feel like in other walks of life, there's like a hood check. Like,
mm,
like people like checking you, right? Like, oh, what kind of car do you drive? What kind of,
yeah,
what kind of house do you live in?
right,
Whereas this, everybody's just like, dude,
yeah.
come on out, have fun. Like, we
I
don't
thought it
care.
was awesome that the amount of equipment that is potential out there, the differences from the, I don't know, the most expensive option to like the bare bones,
Oh yeah.
and the ability of those that are able to run the bare bone equipment and know what parts and pieces to upgrade were pretty dang special as far as, spending the time and effort behind fundamentals of shooting,
hmm
building positions, understanding the rifle, the equipment that they have, to the guys that are running whiz bang stuff and
Oh
truly
yeah.
like that's awesome. I love that equipment. I don't know that I would ever be able to run the equipment like you, but that's amazing.
What's pretty impressive too, I think, is like so like once you've shot a stage, and depending on how the stage is set up, if like you're able to step off to the side and watch maybe somebody who's like super experienced in this and like shoots all the time, maybe they're a top placer all the time,
Yeah.
and to watch how smooth and just how they move target to target, how what their kind of order of operations is unbelievable
Yeah.
on some people. Some people you just see him like on a tripod and you're like, dude, that guy's silky, just silky
Yeah.
smooth when he's like you literally see a guy get up there and he's boom, locked in, up, boom, and it's just like, holy cow! Like, how do you? Okay,
Yeah.
I got some stuff to work on.
I had a hard enough time remembering
Yeah,
parallax on my
yeah,
rifle scope and
yeah.
my orientation of my magazine. By the second day, I felt, oh, yeah, I'm super comfortable. I know how to grab my magazine out of my little pouch, put it in, and the very first stage on the second day, magazine's completely turned around, fumble, in gun, out of gun real fast.
hmm Yeah, there's so much to be learned there. Um, Learned and then also you can I don't know. Personally, I would say like you could set like your little goals and also your equipment. Your equipment. Not everybody needs the whiz bang stuff, right? But you can find little things in your equipment that you're like, oh, I don't like how I have my mag pouch. Oh, I
Hmm.
don't like this bino harness. For a certain reason, when I lay down prone, it does this weird thing where it jabs me in the neck.
Right.
Look, whatever it may be, right? Your binos. Maybe you find that your binos just don't work for you.
Right.
Um, your tripod, the way your tripod deploys, the way that, maybe it's an inverted tripod or it's not an inverted tripod. The head is different than other. There's so many different things, right? It's not to encourage people to buy things.
Right.
It's just like in any other field, I would say, right? You find the pair of pliers that fit your hands perfectly, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
these are the ones. Or, you know, clothing. You find what clothing like works for
Right.
you. Rain, snow, cold, boots, all that stuff, right? All that stuff. You figure that out, and this is all before you even step a foot in the woods.
Right. The big thing that I noticed was how many parts of the equipment. I'm probably the worst when it comes to equipment. I want all of the whiz bang stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
slowly getting those parts and pieces, but then as I grab that part, it almost feels like a foreign object. Like
Mm.
I don't even know how to deploy my bipod that's on my gun, appropriately to adjust the cant, and doing that in that match, I found like I can sort this out now, and so that when I do draw a tag or I do hunt this season, I'll have a better understanding. But then I also understand now that when I go back to the range, this is what I need to work on. I need to know how to deploy the bipod,
Mm-hmm.
not make the objects that I want to use and or are useful as foreign as they possibly are. The tripod, a total nightmare for me to try and shoot off of, was
Mm-hmm.
an absolute foreign object in my hands, even though I've used it multiple times for spotting,
Mm-hmm.
but shooting, completely different scenario of just, set up incorrectly, weeble wobble, falls over, head's not tight. It was,
Personal example. I will say this personally. I'll put it out there. I went from a pull bipod to the triple pull. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome, right? Oh my gosh, did it throw a wrench into just
just a
my
nightmare.
normal
Mm.
operation, right? It uses the same buttons, everything's the same. But when you walk up to a position and you say, oh, I could triple pull bipod this, deploying it and putting it into play, I probably should have practiced
Yeah.
quite a bit. Um, it was literally one of those things where I was like, I walked away from a stage and it was just like, wow, that was frustrating and enlightening at the same time. Realize that don't put a piece of equipment on your gear
Mm-hmm.
that you haven't trained with,
Yeah.
because it will it'll mess you up. It'll mess you up. I mean, we've seen it, right? Like, I would say over the last few weeks, we've done a few different things and PRS stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to do like let's say like rear tripod support,
Dang, foreign
right?
object. Yeah.
Yeah, you like throw that in there in a match, and you're just like Eeyore over here, just like trying to get in it,
Right.
and you're
Crumpled up in a position
yeah,
that's not comfortable, not building on your fundamentals because of that introduction of a foreign object that you've not practiced with and understanding. Yeah.
and totally going, left field on sticking to what you know.
Yeah.
I know how to build a position here. I know how to do this. But hey, I got this new whiz bang,
Yeah.
right? Or I know this new whiz bang move,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or as Joe Rogan would say, he knows a new jiu-jitsu move.
Whiz bang.
NRL Hunter is, I would say, super important for the future of the shooting community, but also ethics in hunting. People do really
It's a really good
realize,
point. Yeah.
right? Like, realize, like, hey, just because I can shoot 1,000 yards
Yeah.
doesn't mean I should probably be out there slinging lead
All right.
at animals.
So you kind of bring up the ethics side of things, the ranges that we were shooting were all sub 1,000 yards,
Sub 1,000 yards.
and the idea of tracking the wind, understanding how to call it, making that first shot count,
Mm-hmm.
um, the ranging capability of your equipment, giving you the correct information for your rifle, was, I think, a huge thing for me to be able to rely on
Mm-hmm.
without having to build a huge dope card, without complicating the things I wanted to accomplish.
Right.
So going into that particular scenario was use the binoculars, use the built-in rangefinder, use the information that it gives you. You know it's accurate. You know it's pulling the correct information because of the practice that you put into it and
Mm-hmm.
understanding, and trust the fact that you can potentially see the wind, make a call, make an adjustment, or maybe make a correction for the second shot
Mm-hmm.
on that same target and transition to the second, the third, or however many targets are set up for that stage.
Yeah, and then like this goes super deep into like actually spotting your impact.
Yeah.
Right? Like actually being able to spot an impact in an odd position when you're shooting in the wind at something that, when they say it's a wolf target, it's literally the size of a dachshund, right?
Yeah.
Like it, I would say one of my biggest things was when I walked into NRL Hunter, I was thinking, oh, animal sized targets. And I specifically remember a wolf target.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, yeah, wolves, easy. And they were literally the size of dachshunds. And I was like, oh, this is after I completely zeroed the stage. And I was like, where are the targets at? And they pointed them out to me. I'm like, oh, okay, the dachshunds. Got it.
Yeah.
So having that realization of that the targets are, some are generous, some are not.
Yeah.
I would say some are, long and wind generous.
And some are prairie dogs that no matter how big you make them are not generous whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true. The thing I was gonna say is that you just get so in tune with that equipment, like you're saying, where it's like, I built the data correctly.
Right.
I know this is what it is. And when you range find, right,
Mm-hmm.
with your binoculars, you find out, oh, I'm shooting past the target 100 yards.
Yeah, you have the post, which I think it was 3 or 4 stages in, I get this little, hey, are you ranging the target or the bottom of the post? Oh, I'm actually ranging 10 to 20 yards, maybe even farther behind because I'm not actually hitting. So if you range at the bottom of the post of the target, if you find the target,
Yep.
you're actually getting a better range and information instead of going, was that impact high? Oh, yeah.
But that is, again, being to be able in those odd positions, spotting your impact, where it hits on the target, where if it doesn't hit the target,
Yeah.
being able to see where you missed and being able to use the ruler in front of your face and correct.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, right? Like that can happen in the woods, right? You can have a, whoops.
Especially suppressed.
Yeah, it happens, right? You're
Yeah.
just like, oh, geez, that was way off. What happened?
Make the correction. Get a
correction.
second shot. Yeah.
Follow up and boom. Where I would say that, I mean, I don't know, for me, hunting wise, building that position and taking that shot, you're just like, it's second nature. Boom.
Yeah.
Bingo. Done. And it only, I don't want to say it takes the joy out of hunting, because I feel like the chase of it is
Right.
really the fun part. But it definitely, like, you just go into like just locked in mode and dial, boom,
Yeah.
done, and you're like, oh, now we got work.
Yeah.
Versus before, I would say, like, before this whole journey started, I would say for me, walking into a shot, it was like, okay, oh, do I have everything? Okay, do I have ammo? Oh, you know.
Not creating an actual routine
Yeah.
for the setup for the shot. Yeah.
Which is, do whatever it is that you
Yeah.
feel is ethical, but I feel like the ethics part of it is
Yeah.
is this literally expands your ability to be super lethal.
Yeah.
Like significantly.
Whether it's a tag you get every year or a once in a lifetime, traveling a bit, putting a lot of time in glassing for the season. I think, and that's mainly one of the reasons why we decided to sponsor the season.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a super important thing, right? Is just sponsoring something like NRL Hunter is important for the continuation of what we believe in hunting ethics.
yeah, sportsmen and women.
Sportsmen and women, they're on the right track. It's a growing, it's an awesome, fun sport.
Yeah.
We'll call it. And it's not during hunting season.
Yeah.
So it's something to do in the off season, have fun, build up everything. And when everything's ready to rock and roll, I mean, when you've been shooting 2-3 matches a year, or maybe you only shoot one match a year, but you go back and you can work on some stuff, it really puts you, I mean, you're dialed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other things you got to work on, right? But it works on your glassing method.
Yeah.
Works on your setup, your positions. Works on your equipment.
Yeah.
Big time. You just know, walking into a tag that the clothing I have is right, the boots I have is right, the pack I have is right, the gun I'm shooting is right. My binos, my tripod, like everything.
Right.
Everything that you bring to an NRL Hunter match, or I would say that, um, some people bring more stuff than others. You figure out, right? Like, what's the one piece of equipment that you would say that you just were kind of, I don't know if I really need that.
I think for me, it probably would have very easily been on that first day, the tripod.
Yeah.
Other than being able to utilize that for steadying, for glassing, it was absolutely worthless to me. Being able to transition from a taller bipod to the tripod, I would have just stayed on the bipod.
I would say a big thing that I found, and this is totally happenstance. I just was like, oh, you know what? I'm not bringing a rear bag. A lot of people bring rear bags. I'm like, I don't really bring a rear bag hunting. Like, let's just see how this goes. Did it pigeonhole me into certain spots? Sure, for sure. But at the end of the day, I got what I needed out of the backpack. So I used my backpack as my rear bag and just kind of was like, I'm not going to call it lightweight, but it was just a backpack. Kafari backpack.
Yes.
And I used that as a rear bag. And I was like, you know what? The end of day 2, I was like, oh, I can do this.
I remember passing you when we were headed through, and you guys had just finished, I think, on 20, and you were walking through. I commented, I think, on how dirty your backpack was, and I was questioning why, and he's like, I'm just using it as the rear bag, and it was working. So
it was just one of those things that kind of, I think, creates those different pathways in your brain, right? I would say NRL Hunter creates those different pathways in your brain to create positions, to use the stuff that you have at your disposal right there.
So let's break down even the equipment that, from per suggestion and conversations that we had, was having a good backpack, having a good bipod, tripod, understanding how to use the tripod, the rear bag. There was also even like mag carrier, I guess, right? Having access to that, pockets. The other solution, I think some people are running like a more of a tactical belt that had mag carriers and OBI connections to attach things.
Those are I would say a big help, right?
It's pretty impressive
stuff. So OBI, just like connection pieces, M-lock connection pieces for your rifle, for your tripod. People use them for rear bags. I would say personally, using them, the ability for you to put your rifle on your backpack strap and put your rifle here, put your tripod here, and move from stage to stage, it's just more comfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
It's part of that game
aspect, I would say. But also, I would say that I could see that being useful hunting.
I think I definitely might not need that for the tripod, but definitely on the rifle, not having to run a sling,
Yeah.
that's super convenient.
I mean, I'm not like anti-sling, but I'm kind of non-sling person.
Over it.
Uh, I don't know why, but I always seem to get into this position where my sling is in the way.
Yeah,
How a piece of fabric
right.
gets in the way, I don't know. But it gets caught on something. I don't know what it is, but that's where that OBI, I was like, okay, I could see myself using this easy, like hunting wise. Especially like, I don't know, coyote hunting and stuff like
Yeah,
that. It's pretty easy. Just boom, put your gun on, slide it on there.
right.
Um, what would I say? I found some boots that, you know, um, for me that weren't working, but also I found boots that were really working, and I was very comfortable.
He
Um,
looked great.
was using some extra tough, just like regular rain boot type things, and those are fairly comfortable, and I didn't get wet, and I don't know, it was nice. Would I use them hunting? No, I
Yeah,
wouldn't. They don't have any true support like for hiking and things like that, and that's where these NRL hunters, it kind of get, you're just walking stage to stage,
yeah.
and so it's pretty simple.
I think that's why coming off of that understanding, like if I'm gonna set myself up in a situation for a hunting, why aren't we doing something in addition to just shooting on the range? So we started the rucking
Yeah,
with just anybody really, setting it up on Saturdays and wearing the equipment, the packs, the pants, the boots, weighing it down, seeing how that feels for 3.5 miles plus, just to see how that weighs on you versus that situation of shooting, moving. I think the total distance that Larkspur has was like maybe a mile,
yeah.
from one end to the other.
Hmm.
Um, didn't seem like a lot.
No,
Didn't really put the equipment that we were utilizing to
no.
strain, but
You could get away with the JanSport if you wanted to,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, is it going to be comfortable? Probably not.
right,
But that's where like this whole rucking thing comes into play, right? You find out like, oh, my backpack doesn't actually work that great,
yeah.
or it's not set up appropriately.
Yeah, fitting it appropriately if it's a modular type pack, or
Mm-hmm.
with the new frame packs that are out there, being able to situate the weight appropriately so you're not you
Yeah,
know low on your back or too high, and getting it in the right position. So if you're lugging out a quarter after a successful hunt,
yeah.
you're
And
set
you
up.
really find out too, like, your management of your gear,
That's a really good
right?
point. Yeah.
Like you find out like, oh, this pocket could do this,
Hmm.
or I could put stuff here, and oh, after a stage I can, oh, I just open this one zipper, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
I'm able to reload my mags quick. I'm able to get all my stuff all reset up, and just kind of back into that. I'm ready to go for the next
Hmm.
stage, which sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's slow. Depends on a lot of different factors, I would say. But
Whether it's quick or slow, what was it that Waylon
oh yeah, as Yoda
mentioned?
says, you're allowed a 5 minute tantrum, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, I mean personally, I'm a competitive person. I also am self-destructing in that way. Like like if I have a bad stage before,
Yeah.
I would say like I would be like just go down that rabbit hole. Oh, I'm just gonna miss. Oh, this gear sucks. Oh. Whereas now it's like, okay, 5 minutes.
Hmm.
I'm allowed to tear myself apart. 5 minutes is over. On to the next.
Right.
Clean slate. Let's move on. Set up your mags. Get your stuff ready. Okay. Game on.
Yeah. Move on.
Move on.
When you mentioned that on our range here, and it was nice to see that coming from you. Like, I'll give myself that time. so that if you did shoot poorly or you didn't even build a position correctly, timer goes off or whatever the situation might be, give yourself that, then move on.
Yep.
That was enlightening to me to be able to see somebody that had been shooting these types of matches for a year plus, giving himself a little bit of grace, but also being, critical of what just happened.
I think you have to be, right? You
Yeah.
have to be critical of yourself if you want to get better.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just shooting this and
Yeah.
life goes on, and it does go on. Life does go on after all this stuff. And at the end of the day, there's some pretty cool trophies out there and stuff like that, and that's great for those people that win. Like I said, a lot of super awesome people that are winning and doing that. But at the end of the day, my life goes on, and I go back to doing what we do.
Yeah.
And I take the knowledge away, and I'm going to build upon that and build upon that. That's what I want to do. I mean, that's where I want to be.
Right.
It's like I give myself a little goal. I want to meet that goal for myself, and then I move on.
Right.
And you just, those little things, right? Getting better.
Whether it's a fundamental, getting better at the fundamental of getting into the scope appropriately, whether it's the equipment that you do need or don't need, equipment familiarization.
Yeah.
That was amazing to see the difference from day one to day two, just for myself in understanding where I put things in my pockets consistently, familiarizing myself with the zippers or the pockets, the different positions that you would put yourself in to get to those things when you are in a prone position or building a kneeling position.
And until someone does it, you can only get so much out of a flat range.
True.
Right? You can only get so much out of shooting on a flat range on a timer, or what's at stake.
Right.
Nothing. Is anything really at stake in these matches? No, but mentally, I would say, yeah, there's pressure there to perform, to do better, to perform in front of peers, friends, all that type of stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun to go shooting with your friends and have that pressure.
Yeah.
Because when the time does come, when you do have to perform, it's a cakewalk.
Yeah.
It's a cakewalk. Because where before you looked at like a 300-yard shot and you were like, ooh, boy, that's a little far.
Yeah.
Whereas now, that is straight routine.
Right.
Right? You're like, oh.
Standard.
It's how big of a target? Oh, I got this.
Yeah.
Right? I'm excited for Cody.
Yeah. I think that's going to be amazing. Be able to do a team
Cody.
match.
Gunworks team match.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think that'll be really, one, I think it'll be really cool for our friendship, our business. I think it'll be a fun time. Super cool venue put on by Gunworks.
Yeah.
You got some awesome match directors, and some stages that are pretty notable, supposedly, throughout the NRL community. They say that there's a few matches that you should shoot, and Gunworks is one of them.
Nice.
Sheep Mountain, I think they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that. Laramie's one. You got to shoot that next year, I would say. It's just one of those matches. Colin Fawson up there puts on an awesome match. It is cool.
Yeah.
Rocks, just tough targets, wind. You look out and you're on the Wyoming, Colorado border. That's a cool match. It's a cool match. It's a tough match. I think some people may avoid it because of what it is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it really pushes you to get better.
Are there different difficulty levels that some of the matches might even be set at? Or
yeah, they actually put that on there on the, like when they put a match out, they show the difficulty of the targets, the difficulty of the physical.
Mm.
I should pull it up honestly because it's physical, targets, and I believe it's overall.
Okay.
Um,
So if you go off the overall, can I give you a 1 to 10, 1 to 5?
1 to
What,
5.
1 to 5? Okay.
And that is, I would say, a good gauge. I would say it's a good gauge of like,
So is Laramie a 5 plus or?
I want to say they put it at a 4, but
Okay.
it's up there for difficulty walking wise. I mean, it's easy walking,
Okay.
but these are all like what you do have to realize is that NRL Hunter is nationwide, Canada, Alaska. I want to say they are in another country, possibly England.
Yeah. I've noticed with some of the redemptions of the prize table, we're shipping product from anywhere. I think New York, Texas, Oregon, all the matches. Match winners or prize table options.
And we do appreciate you guys' support.
It's huge.
Anybody picks up the any of those certificates off the prize table, don't feel like you can't call in either.
True.
Yeah. We got plenty of guys here that can help you out.
Gotten amazing comments too on some of the orders, like thanks for sponsoring, and I can't thank you guys enough for even leaving those comments because it really proves that the community that we're supporting supports us, let alone appreciates what we're trying to accomplish with promoting something that's I think near and dear to both of our hearts. And as I build into the next stage of kind of shooting, I think it's going to be paramount for my season to be successful too. So
that's like I mean, there's so many people from all over the country, whereas like us living in an area where most people dream of hunting, right? The people dream to come here, and I don't want to say it's an afterthought, but like a lot of people that live here, it's just this is the normal, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like people maybe Midwest, East Coast, down south, they're like this is it. This is the place.
When my brother-in-law came out for the first season, we hunted 7 days ish, almost straight, no luck whatsoever, in the sun setting on the last day, and I hear him behind me, I want to do this again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we didn't do anything but put miles on and miles and miles and glassing and time spent. He goes, but this is awesome. This is amazing.
Yeah, and I think like like those people that live in those areas that are not this area, or that want to come to this area, the NRL Hunter is a great introduction into
That's a good point.
into that, right? Like, hey, fly out, go to a match, see how the landscape is, see how visit some places, or make it a vacation. Stopping in and visiting places. What I would say too is like, I mean, when the thing that I have discussed with other folks is when you shoot in the mountains, it's kind of just it's different, right? Wind is different. It is not just 5 miles an hour from the northeast. It's not 5 miles an hour from the west.
Right.
It's not just coming across the plains.
It's pretty amazing to see the difference, what's in your face, what's 300 yards, what's 900 yards, and everything in between.
And then you'd be able to, then when you do come out here for your elk hunt or your deer hunt or whatnot, like you're just already leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, right? The hard part's kind of done.
Yeah,
I would say finding elk is is difficult sometimes. 1,000-pound ghost, as I reference them, especially in the junipers.
Yeah.
But getting into NRL Hunter, I think for people is a great step. It's a great stepping stone into being a better hunter, being a more ethical hunter. Learning.
Mindful.
Yeah, mindful. And like I've been saying, it opens up those pathways in your
Yeah.
brain, right? To be able to walk into it and say, oh, there's a tree here. There's a log down.
Yeah.
I can put my gun right here with my backpack and I can set up this position and boom,
Yeah.
done. And then the hard work starts.
Right.
And that's when you figure out, oh,
This JanSport's not going to be the solution for packing up
this
the elk.
XYZ pack doesn't work well for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it took multiple iterations of packs to figure out what works for me. But
Yeah.
once I found it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is the one.
Cool.
You know, weight, all that stuff. So, big thing I would like to say to everybody is if you've watched this all the way through, is I would encourage you, number one, to go on the NRL Hunter website, go through the rules, look at the matches, see what's available, see if there's something close to you, become a member. The matches these days are filling up fast. They're filling up so fast.
Hours.
So if you're a member, you get an initial release of matches. So you can get in like 2, I think, days prior to when the match is available to the public. So I would say, but for me or for us, that's a big thing, right? Being able to shoot the matches that are close to us, but also to be able to get into some of the other matches that haven't been available to the public yet. Was able to sign up. So for Cody, that I got the notification pretty early, signed up as a team. I would encourage people 100% to go on there, do that, sign up as a member, get ready. I believe the season does end August, but then we'll have another season start up next year in 26. So maybe this year's not your year. Maybe you work up for it and then get into it next year. If you do have questions, please don't be afraid to call a shop. We'll answer any questions that you need. We have plenty of guys here. Us two can answer questions. You can send us an email. If you need to call us, it's 719-207-4285. And for the email, just info@slideagunshop.com. And reach out. If you got questions, ask questions. Don't be afraid. Seriously, like this is like one of those things, like we're not professionals by any means.
Not even close.
Like in this realm, we are just starting our journey on the NRL Hunter side, but it's something that I think support dearly.
Yeah. The support, I think, really was driven home after that match of why you put that pressure on us to be sponsor for the year. And I think it's definitely one of the things that is going to make, I say, our industry, but as a hunter, as somebody that enjoys the outdoors, just way more valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So please don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to email. Reach out. Definitely do research. I would encourage everybody. There's tons of YouTube videos. Oh man, I forget his name. His name's Rick, but his YouTube channel is like Watch Your Six. Anyways, he's got some good videos. You'll find him if you're searching NRL Hunter. Good guy. Tons and tons of YouTube information. But like I said, don't feel like you can't reach out to us and ask questions. We will try to answer to our best of our abilities. We will walk through a lot of stuff with you. And follow us. Follow us because we're going to go on this journey together and we're going to fill you in when we can.
What equipment's working, what's not.
Yeah. And we're not here to, I would say poo-poo on certain equipment and certain companies, but you will know just by what we carry in store.
Yeah. We're shooters.
Yeah, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
We put it into practice. We carry what we know works, and we don't carry what doesn't and doesn't support you.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for us.
For sure.
If it doesn't support you, we're not going to support it, and we're going to move on.
Yep. So please stay tuned. Don't hesitate to reach out, and hopefully there'll be some more coming through.
Yeah, and please like, follow, and subscribe.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate every one of you.